Breathe in, breathe out. 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 When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out loud. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out.
Everybody's got something. Everybody's got something. Everybody's got something. Well, I was inspired to start the show this way because we are so blessed to have Call to Sing, this wonderful group of women who do song circles, and you just heard their first song before this. So before we talk about your song, can you introduce yourselves? Tell us a little bit about how you started singing together. Maybe Zhenya, we can start with you.
Yeah, sure. Well, I feel like I met Rebecca actually at Song Circle, I think. We've been singing together for so I'm Zhenya Novareign, and this is Rebecca Leeman, and
Monika Skiba.
Yeah, and we've been singing together as a group for about 8 years, give or take. And yeah, it's just been such a pivotal part of our I want to say spiritual practice, but just that practice that grounds you back and reminds you who you are, why you're here. And we do it during the full moons. Yeah, and so recently we've just decided the songs, I feel like, we're like, it's time to come out into the community, so.
Yes, and tell us, maybe Rebecca, you tell us what is a song circle? What makes that different than just singing performance or a choir? Like what makes a song circle special to you?
It's a circle where everybody's voice is welcome, and the songs don't necessarily need written music to look at. They might just be very short. There may be layered parts or rounds, or sometimes just chanting, where to get on something that then we can go off of the words. And it's it's very spontaneous because we don't know what we're going to sing at the time that we sit down and sing, and we may honor different things that are happening, bring in songs that are on themes. Sometimes we'll go out and howl at the moon because it's always held on the full moon, and we usually have food around it in the beginning and then get into singing, and it just goes for several hours, and it's been it's pretty much gone on for about 9 years, just right around the moon, and sometimes we sing outside.
Sometimes we just can't stop.
Yes. And it's very yummy, it's just like, there's been times where we're like holding our hearts and, touching each other and singing, and it's a lot of endorphins running, I think, during that time.
Beautiful. And Monika, what can you tell us about, what are you thinking about or feeling when you're about to, like, right before the song starts? What goes through your mind?
Oh, that's
and heart?
an interesting question. I think being in the song circle, you're really present in the moment. It kind of brings you to the present moment, and it's sort of like a meditation. So when we're there together, it's like I'm just there, I'm just present. It sort of helps me to not think about anything else. It kind of gives me a moment to just breathe and be there. So I think it can be very cathartic, help digest emotions that are up at the surface and help us process them in a really healthy way. And just being surrounded by all the voices, I mean, you just kind of feel like you're engulfed by it.
It's like soul sound medicine.
It's definitely medicine,
And so speaking of breathe, can you tell us about that first song?
It's a song by Sarah Dan Jones, and it hasn't circulated a lot. I know that sometimes in Unitarian Universalist meetings they have sung this song, but it's just so beautiful because it has all these parts and harmonies, and it's also about breathing. So when you're singing the song, it really
what a great song to start with. Just, right? It's like breathing is something we obviously do without thinking, but when you sometimes we need to. I can feel the expansion and contraction in the middle of the song. So,
absolutely. I feel like it's such a good message for this time too. Like as we're breathing through, like, so much just to come back to the anchor of what we know to be true, and that's what the songs do for me a lot. Actually, it's this kind of like we say net of remembrance, and it really is like remembering like who we are as beings on this planet when everything around us is so loud and distracting.
And what is it? Something about like there's one voice, but then when there's multiple voices, and as I was watching you sing, you could sort of see and feel like when you sort of certain harmonies would just sort of land. What can you speak to about just the idea of harmony? Because I know you said sometimes it's not planned, and sometimes it's sort of like almost you surprise yourselves maybe even when you
I like what you say sometimes when we have community circles. Rebecca will say no fault harmony, and it's kind of also an opportunity for people to kind of hear, maybe they're hearing something that's not even in the song. Like I think when we recorded Breathe In, Breathe Out, there was like a part everyone was like, you always do this part, that we got to get that in there, and so it's also an opportunity to, like, as you start to open up your voice, just contribute to that community, that vocal community. But do either of you want to share anything else?
I also feel like songs are living beings in a way, and so it's like a story. When you tell a story, you're kind of feeding the story and giving it a chance to transform and morph with us. Like we're all, as humans, transforming and morphing generation after generation, and so sometimes it's like we're feeding the story, we're feeding the song, and all the voices, like the more voices that come in, we're just adding to the story.
All right, it's probably never quite the same.
It's never the same.
Right, it's never the same.
Ever the same. That's like
there
the one
have been
thing
circles we've had that were like so many voices in the room where it was just amazing. And then it's also amazing when it's just a smaller circle.
The intimacy. And so tell us about just how about tell us the name of the next song, and then after we hear it, you'll tell us a little bit about that song. What's the name of the next song?
So the next song is Net of Remembrance, and it's by Lindsay Scott.
Okay. All right. Well, let's have a listen.
Everyone feels and carries different parts of the story. Everyone feels and carries different parts of the story. Everyone feels and carries different parts of the story. Everyone feels and carries different parts of the story, and together we weave the net of remembrance, and together we weave the net of remembrance, and together we weave the net of remembrance, and together we weave the net of remembrance. We are not created to hold this all alone. We are not created to hold this all alone. We are not created to hold this all alone. We are not created to hold this all alone. Everyone feels and carries different parts of the story. Everyone feels and carries different parts of the story. Everyone feels and carries different parts of remembrance, and together we weave the net of remembrance. We were not created to hold this all alone. We are not created to hold this all alone. And together we weave the net of remembrance. And together we weave the net of remembrance. And we are not created to hold this all alone. We are not created to hold this all alone.
gorgeous, wonderful. It's incredible to hear, and it's kind of like you're saying, you know, with a big group, it's can be a very powerful thing, but with just three, there's something about the intimacy of that is, can just kind of gives this, I don't know, just covers you. So tell us a little bit what the origin of that song, or how you came to know this one, and what it means for you.
I was at a singing retreat in California with 100 women, and we learned this song. So, you know, about 30 people in one part and 30 in another. And once we learned the song, we milled around, which is something that we had done in a recent community sing here when we taught this song, where, in the beginning, when you learn the pieces, you're with a little group and you feel confident in your little group and singing that part. And then when people feel ready, they get up and they're milling around in the circle, passing by people singing a different part, holding strong, and you're passing by people in your group. So if you're feeling a little shaky about it, you can I'm gonna walk and mill around with someone from my group. But the act of just, especially with this song too, the message, you know, everyone feels and carries a different part of the story, and you're milling around and, you know, looking in people's eyes and singing. It's really powerful.
And so the types of people, I imagine it's a range of people who are experienced performers, and there's some people who have like never sang in front of anybody. Like what and how does that all work together, and how do you kind of help everyone sing together and be comfortable?
I mean, I think these are things we're going to be finding out as we're going to be offering more community singing in Albuquerque.
Yeah, I think generally it's seamless, though. I think that, you know, the people who love to sing, that have that in their life, maybe they're musicians, you know, they show up and they're ready, you know, and then there's people that might feel more timid, and like I feel like that, you know, those people holding it down gives almost, it's like a co-regulatory process where you're like, okay, they're holding it down and I'm here too, and I'm a part of that. But the other thing that's like really amazing to me, like the last time we did our community sing, you know, because some of the songs are like quite complicated, and there's several different parts, and and I always think about those people that might be new to the practice, but I'm always just amazed at how there's almost like some sort of beautiful alchemy that happens where people just pick up the song.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching. I feel myself just wanting.
You were singing the songs.
There's just something. There's something about. I'm sure anyone, whether they sing or not, there's something about what you're creating, and there's sort of the kind of the repetition and the simplicity of something that makes it very approachable for someone who hasn't done that. So, are you like, say someone's watching this and they're like, I want to do that. Like, what are you? Can anyone become part of Call to Sing, or is it what is your vision as far as what's gonna?
So it's very much like our songs. Like, it's very much developing, and it's a very organic process. But we do have we're starting to host events that we call Community Sings. And so we're actually experimenting with bringing that into different community spaces. It's very inclusive. Anyone, you know, can come to these events.
And when we post this on YouTube and all, we'll have like contact emails and all that sort of thing. And then that's probably the best way to catch us. And at this point. Okay, and so tell us the last song that you're going to be doing. What can you tell us about that?
I'll speak to that. So this song is called Into the River, and it's by Starling Arrow, which is actually a beautiful collaboration between many different beautiful artists. Some are from Rising Appalachia, and then some are they have their own, there's Maria Stark, Ayla Nero. So these are just like high, powerful, beautiful, I'm assuming they all identify as women in the world that are just making really good music, and so they came together and started Starling Arrow. And I mean, I think we sang this song just because we've had all this rain, and there's just this inherent, I think, relationship between songs and the river. The river loves songs, and we love the river loves us, so we felt like we had to sing this song.
We probably know about 25 river songs or something.
Yeah,
is that,
we really
is that,
do know a
is
lot
it
of river
because
songs.
people sing by the river, or just the power of what the river means? Like, what do you think? What do you
I
think?
think
how-
so.
Some
I
inherent
think the river
thing.
carries,
Yeah.
you know, it's moving, so you're like
Yeah.
letting go, you're releasing into the river, or it's carrying your songs downstream.
Yeah.
There's gospel
Yeah.
songs for the river.
Yeah, right, because
Mhm.
it just seems like this
Many.
common
And then
thing.
there's also this metaphor of like the river that's taking us to the ocean of, you know, whatever our ultimate destination is.
Right,
So it's something
right.
about the songs
It's like
that
this
are like,
path, and life is
Yeah.
itself about like the path of
yeah,
nature.
like
Yeah.
I feel like I'd be so lucky if like the moment I died, there was a song there to greet me and guide me home, you know?
And it's kind of, it's the thread in our life, right? So like we all have our own kind of work, jobs, positions that we hold throughout our lives, and this song group is kind of the thread that keeps us together, and it's the one thing that kind of like holds us down, you know, so
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of like that same thought.
Holds us down, brings us up. I also
Yeah.
just want to say there's this
Yeah.
idea of like song catching,
Yeah.
and I walk, you know, by the river a lot, and sometimes a song will just come, you know.
Yeah.
It's not one of the songs that I even know.
Right, you're like, what
it's
is that?
yeah, so on my phone I have all these different songs that I've caught, you know,
Incredible.
just through the ethers, you know. So that's a practice too, you know, and it's amazing how you'll hear a song once and it's in there somewhere.
Yes.
So that's, I find really, really interesting.
Incredible. Well, I want to thank you so much for being here and for what you create together. Just the bit I've got to hear, it really does feel like a massage to the soul. Hearing one voice is a powerful thing, but hearing the voices together and how it is really alive, like you were saying, and I just wish you continued blessings for it to grow or be whatever you envision it to be. And for anyone who is seeing this that is inspired by this, to connect. And I'm sure there's probably this song circles are maybe
They're
all
all
over
over
the world, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
So and I love it. It's for anyone, whether you're a professional singer or you've never sang before. So I just
Even if you're afraid to sing, like,
Yeah.
go.
because
you
you've
know?
got other people right by your side.
And if you want to
to-
get better at
Yeah.
singing too, it's a place to experiment and try. Like just have a moment to try and hit harmony. And if
Yeah.
you hit it, you hit it. And if you don't, it's great.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for being here,
thank
and
you.
look forward to hearing you all sing many more times. And thank you for the gift of musical healing that you are giving to yourselves and sharing and spreading to the world. And just bless each of you and all of the wonderful music and soul nourishment you are giving all of us.
Yay,
thank you
right
very
back
much.
at you,
Thank you.
because you're a soul music healer too. Thank you for
very
having
much.
us.
Thank you very much.
I wanna lay my bones down in the water. I wanna lay my body down on the earth. I wanna lay my bones down in the water. I wanna lay my body down on the earth. I wanna lay my bones down in the water. I wanna lay my body down on the earth. I wanna lay my bones down in the water. I wanna lay my body down on the earth. Lean in, lean in, lean into the river. 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 Come with the rain, come sing a again. Come with the rain. Hum with the rain, come sing again. Come with the rain. Come with the rain, come sing again. Come with the rain. Come with the rain, come sing again. Come with the rain. I wanna lay my bones down in the water. I wanna lay my body down on the earth. I wanna lay my bones down in the water. I wanna lay my body down on the earth. I wanna lay my bones down in the water. Lean into the river. I wanna lay my body down on the earth. Lean into the river. I wanna lay my bones down in the water. Lean into the river. I wanna lay my body down on the earth. Lean into the river. Hum with the rain, come sing again. Hum with the rain. Hum with the rain, come sing again. Hum with the rain. Hum with the rain, come sing again. Come with the rain. Hum with the rain, come sing again. Hum with the rain.
All right, we are here with my buddy David Holtkamp. Pleasure to be with you, and I am excited today to hear a song and to just hear actually just about your life and your journey. So maybe first just tell us a little bit about who you are and where you come from and what you like to do.
What I like to do? Well, thank you, Seth. I've known you for about 20 years, and
Yes.
really thinking about kind of where our experiences have, intertwined and, and gone different directions, and then intertwined and gone different directions, and now it's in that like little intertwining moment again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have been doing a variety of different musical endeavors, projects, adventures, whatever, for pretty much my entire life. And alongside that, I've really enjoyed in the past few years getting into things like fly fishing and doing a lot of outdoorsy stuff, like that with my kids, and just trying to enjoy life every day as one of my favorite songs from you, inspired 20 years ago when I first heard it.
Yeah. And so when we first met, you were a drummer. And one of the cool stories, I used to be in a duo called Seth and Jacob, and we were in need of a drummer and bass player, and Jacob, of course, I think met you at a guitar center.
That's right.
So maybe tell us a little bit about your life as a drummer, because there's some chapters of your full life, chapters of your musical life.
Yeah.
Maybe tell us a little bit about how that chapter of drumming.
The chapter of drumming. Yeah. So I started drumming at about, I'd say, 12 years old, and it was about that age when you want to join like the elementary school band, and I'd been doing piano for a number of years, and had some musical knowledge up until that point. And my original choice was actually to do saxophone.
Is that right?
And the band instructor was like, well, we already have enough saxophone. And I was like, okay, so what's your second choice? Well, a buddy of mine played tuba, and it was like, okay, well, yeah, I'll join him on tuba. Now we already have enough tubas. So it was kind of like, all right, I'm already 2 strikes down. Like, what else can I choose? And they said, but we have an opening for a percussionist. And I wasn't yet,
Is that
versed in the
right?
language of that yet. And I was like, well, percussion, okay, what exactly does that mean? Yeah. And it's like, oh, you play the drums. And it was a little bit of an intimidating thing, if I'm being perfectly honest, because I wasn't the kind of kid that would go into doing, hitting on things and, that. But I was like, okay, percussion, that's all right. I'll give that a go. I come to find out at 12 years old that my mom was a music major, at the University of Texas at Austin, in percussion studies.
And you did not know this.
And I did not
that.
know this, like really that well, at least at that age. And so my mom was actually my first mentor, in percussion, both, doing mallets, doing snare drum, tambourine, all this kind of stuff. So that's how it started. And a few years went by, you go through elementary, you go through junior high, and then junior high going to high school, I distinctly remember that there was an opportunity to audition for the high school marching band.
Okay.
And that, was like, again, like, well, I don't really know if I want to do this. I was kind of timid in that regard. And, band wasn't like the number one thing at that time. It was a thing, which was fine at that age. But I, auditioned, with a bunch of my fellow, buddies in, 8th grade. And I was able to be on the drum line playing the largest bass drum at the very end of 5 bass drums, right? So at like 14, 15 years old, like I'm the guy with the 50-pound, Yamaha drum that goes out to about here.
And what does that feel like?
Right? It was like all the way out here. Well, it was, it probably contributes a lot to my lower back problems that I experienced later in life. But it was a good introduction to being part of an ensemble that creates a unified, group of drummers that make it sound like one drummer.
Yeah, yeah.
And so having, X number of, snare players, X number of the, the quad players with like, the 4 or 5 drums going on here. And then you have the bass drums, and there'd be like 4 or 5 of us, and we have to sound like toms on a drum set, like digga 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 digga, but we're all one drum, right? In that, so that was like really the introduction to, oh my gosh, like drumming is really like that's a thing, right? And so we do stuff like over the summer we'd go see the Drum Corps International DCI. I think they still have that now, where they do these professional drum corps competitions, and it was almost like going to like football games where like everybody has their own team or their own, and people were like massive fans of this band, massive fans of that band, whatever. And what we would do, we'd go to see the competition, but what we loved to do most, Seth, was we'd go in the parking lots with video cameras, not, way before iPhones, all that, and we'd just videotape people and just get ideas, get inspiration on what we could do. Taking it back to our shows that we'd be doing at the high school level. Yeah. So that was kind of the introduction to drumming, that lasted all the way through high school. Started getting into drum sets, started getting into jazz band, like really making that my primary instrument.
So this was kind of all prep really for being in a band.
For being in a band, yep.
So then, can you tell us now, so from that, this is where you probably gain a lot of your skills as far as being part of a group, not just technical skills, but actually there's a skill to being in a band. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey of, because tell us about some of the bands you've been in.
Some of the bands I've been in,
And then different instruments. I know you're drumming, of course. We want to hear about the mandolin.
Yeah. So, I mean, at that time, like it was learning how to be a drummer within a group of other drummers, right? And you're obviously within, the larger part of the band as well, with the brass and woodwind instruments. And really just understanding that, we can be the loudest and biggest thing there, but we have to listen in. We have to be able to give the space to the other instruments that are contributing all at that time. So, at that age, being, having the drum set, being in the rock band, that was the thing. It's like, we should have like a rock band down in the basement. And, my good friend who, Mike Peterson, right? Like, he and I were in, the first 10 bands that I'd been in my life. It was always, myself on the drums and him on bass. Like we cut our teeth on so many different bands over the years. you know, as that rhythm section. And he and I really developed that you know,
synergy.
that synergy and knowing kind of, okay, if he's going to go here, I'm going to go there to complement it, you know, and learning how to listen in. And that translates really well, I think, to when I started diving into, you know, other instruments, you know, outside of drums, you know, mainly with, you know, playing the mandolin. Similar kind of deal. Even in a bluegrass band where you don't have the drums as the heartbeat foundation, you've got the bass, boom, 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 you know, and it's holding down that downbeat. And this is essentially the snare drum, boom, chick, 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 you know, and it creates that rhythm within the larger ensemble. So listening in was critical to learn at that age, you know, in whether you're doing, you know, a full-blown symphony orchestra, or you're even doing, you know, like you know, the other performers, you know, on today's show, you know, the vocal ensembles, learning how to listen in and provide that space for everybody to be able to contribute and create something larger as a group.
Yeah. And so tell us about which band you're in more modern times, you know, what you're doing now and in the last few years.
And in the last few years, yeah. So yeah, over the last few years, you know, my primary band that I've been playing with is Escape on a Horse. It's a Americana country and sort of, you know, alternative rock group. It's really just based out of northern New Mexico. You know, some of us live in Santa Fe. Some of us live in kind of the Espanola area. I'm up in Los Alamos, and we all have kind of a centralized area for us to get together. And I plugged in with them about 2019, so about 6 years ago. Okay. I had seen them performing up at Pajarito ski area, which is my home mountain, you know, during, you know, kind of one of the end of season sort of fiesta days that they have. They call it skiesta, right? It's the very end of the, you know, at the very end of the end of the season. And they were performing, and I was like, oh, this is a really cool band, you know. And I was just enjoying listening to them on the deck. And I just went up to him afterwards. Hey, I really enjoyed what y'all are doing. Yeah. Would y'all ever consider, you know, having, you know, mandolin in this group? Because, you know, I'd love to be able to participate. And, you know, I saw a potential there. I was like, I'd really love to be a part of this.
So that's an inspiration, because how many people think these things like, oh, I couldn't say anything.
I couldn't say anything. Yeah, and just like, right, what's the worst they could say? No, like take a hike, Jack. Right. You know, whatever.
Security.
But, you know, security or whatever. And yeah, no, I'm just, you know, grateful in that sense that I had the opportunity to just say, hey, let's see where this goes, you know, and they had been fortunate, you know, I had been fortunate enough that they didn't, you know, boot me out after, you know, a couple of months, and we've been able to work together for 6 months. Some of the other, you know, projects that I've been, you know, a part of in recent years was Let It Grow, you know, the Grateful Dead.
How did you end up becoming a part of Let It Grow?
So this was, you know, around so in 2011, I, you know, became a dad. And at that time, when I had a newborn son, I did, I think, the one regrettable thing that any musician could do when they take on a new life change, and that was to give up music because you feel like you had to. Yeah. And that year of not doing anything, year or two of not really doing anything musical, I was still playing around the house, you know. Sure. But I fell into this trap, so to speak, of feeling like I had to put down a part of who I was in order to do the thing of becoming a parent.
Right. This is the right
thing to do or whatever. And that was the wrong way to go about it. In retrospect, that was absolutely the wrong way to go about it. In 2013, I saw, you know, on, I think it was Craigslist or something like that, you know, Lon Kalanka had put out this, you know, call for musicians like, hey, looking to start a Grateful Dead tribute band. Well, I mean, I'd been a Deadhead since I was literally 3 weeks old when, you know, my parents took me to a Dead show in Santa Fe at the Santa Fe Downs in, you know, in 1983. So that's always been a part of my musical DNA. And I was like, oh, this would be really cool. Like, I haven't been in a band in a while. Maybe I could kind of dive into this and try that out. So I did that, you know, from about 2013 through about 2017, shortly after my dad had passed away. And I needed to take a step back from that in order to, again, just focus on other areas that were in need at that time. And then I was able to come back to Let It Grow about 2021, 2022, and trying out with the electric mandolin, doing a very different thing, moving again from when I stepped away from Let It Grow in 2017 and stepped into Escape on a Horse a couple years later, really changing the role of being in the background, being at the backbone to, I need to listen into somebody else now being the drummer. I had to completely change again how I was thinking about listening in. I can't drive the rhythm of a band with this thing, right? That doesn't work.
Yeah.
So learning how to understand that change in roles over time, changing from instruments, has been a really foundational thing for myself. And then over the course of just about a year ago, 2024, just needing again to change pace again and do something different again.
Yeah. So with all these things and being part of a band, you also are an incredible songwriter. I wonder, you're going to take us out with an original song. I wonder if you can tell us a little bit about this song you are going to bless us with.
Yeah, this song is it's kind of a biographical piece on limited family oral histories. It's about my great-great-grandmother who, through oral traditions that were passed down, from her to her daughter and so on and so forth, all the way to my mom. So it was my great-great-grandmother on my dad's side. She shared this knowledge, and it came to my mom, who is a professional genealogist, does a lot of family research and very skilled in that.
Yeah.
And the story was that when she was a young girl, my great-great-grandmother, her mom had left her dad for reasons that are kind of unknown.
Yeah.
And then through the oral sort of understanding, what had basically happened was she was sold off by her dad to pay off his gambling debts.
Wow.
And what the exact circumstances of that, we don't really have any records of, things like that. But when I heard this story over the course of the COVID, shutdown and all that kind of stuff, I really started diving into wow, that experience really kind of stuck with me, because I could see her picture and just the look in her eyes, and just thinking about what are the experiences of what this woman went through, and thinking about it as a as a man, I can't really speak to that experience. Mm-hmm. So it was a good exercise for me to try to dive into those experiences or those emotions of a young girl in the early part of the century, and trying to write from that experience as part of the songwriting experience. I'm not a very skilled songwriter, if I'm being perfectly honest. It's not something that comes very natural to me. Yeah. I'm more of a, chasing a melody and helping to make songs happen.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was a really good opportunity for me to try to write from her perspective. And so this song is really partly an homage to family traditions that I think can be lost unless we really.
Yeah. I mean, what a way to keep history alive.
To keep history alive, right?
Yeah.
And even if it's not in the written record, somehow it can be cemented in current memory to be able to carry forward. So yeah.
Well,
happy to share that song with you.
Look forward to hearing it. Well, before we hear that song, I just want to thank you so much for being on the show, and anyone who's known you, been your friend, been a bandmate, not just likes you, but they have such love for you and such appreciation for the kindness and the talent that you are. And so I'm honored to be your friend and to have you on the show. And now we are all going to be blessed with this beautiful song. So
thank you, Seth.
Thank you so much.
I really appreciate that, bud.
Thank you.
I live my life on the Shenandoah. I don't plant crops or own the town. I'm a trapper's daughter, river bound. My father trapped first to make a living, but the drinking and the gambling couldn't be forgiven. One night my mother said, wait for your father. He took my baby sister and left for another. My daddy went out to shoot the dice and didn't read the signs, and he didn't think twice. When the bets were made, oh, he didn't raise them. I was collateral for a gambler's ransom. My name is Edith Michelle Marple. I've lived my life on the Shenandoah. I don't plant crops or own the town. I'm a trapper's daughter, river bound. Well, I could tell from his face he wasn't broken. He never looked me in the eye, not a word was spoken. I don't speak or shout, no need to bother. I am no longer his faithful daughter. My name is Edith Michelle Marple. I come from the land of ice and snow. I won't look down, won't look back. There ain't a trapper in hell can follow my track. Awesome, thank you.